Right. Hi. So I'm Matthew. I am a senior product manager here at Trainline. And in January, I am changing roles internally at Trainline and moving into a slightly different product space. And I think that moment of changing roles is always a good time to reflect and think on sort of how do I do product management? What is working well in how I do product management? What's maybe not working as well? Um, and as I've reflected back on sort of the last 3 years in my role, and kind of thinking about what has given me both success in the role, but also ultimately success in how we've developed the product I've worked on, which I'll tell you about in a minute. I think what I landed on is that product intuition has been sort of central or key for how I have, I think, had some degree of success. So I thought it might be interesting to share with you all a little bit of how I think about what is product intuition, so how I define it, and then kind of the couple of ways that it's helped me to sort of do my day-to-day better, and then finally how I think it will help us going forward in the future. So how do I define product intuition? So I guess a little bit about my role or my context, which I think is kind of important. So I am historically or in my career, I'm a B2B enterprise product manager. That would sort of be how I would describe myself. Um, what you probably know about Trainline is our B2C app and website. We hope you know them, use them, ideally love them. And we think you can do a lot of great things there, but if there's something came up that you couldn't, say, get an exceptional refund because unfortunately your train was delayed, then you might call up one of our agents or you might send a chat, and they would use a product called Agent Tool, which is what I've spent the last 3 years working on building to help you solve your problem and get through that. And so we've taken at Trainline, we've taken Agent Tool, we've bundled it with our global API, and we've brought that out to enterprise partners to help them deliver rail through the business travel market. And I think we're doing a pretty good job. We are having good amounts of success. So in our H1, I think we were up 33% year over year in the UK and 55% year over year in the EU. So it's going pretty well, but we have kind of the usual challenges in B2B, which are long acquisition and onboarding cycles in our case. And I think we also have a high volume of stakeholders who are quite demanding. So, and they have good lines of connection into Trainline, unlike maybe some of our customers on the B2C side. So that's where I've sort of had to really leverage product insight or product intuition. And so, yeah, I guess how have I thought about this? So for me, product intuition is not guessing. So it's not my personal views. It's not bias as much as possible. It's kind of not making just some random guess and saying this is the way we should go. I think it has two sort of key elements for me. So one is internalized knowledge. I guess so. I think the reason I spent kind of the first 6 months in my current role getting a really good understanding of our users, of agents, but also of the business and of the decision process that the buyers who are actually buying our enterprise software make, is to get some of this internalized knowledge that I could then rely on as I go through my role. And then, that also gives a good understanding of needs and wants, which I think the sort of other element of product intuition is a deep empathy for users and being able to call on that as you go through. So the process of developing and growing a product. So there are kind of two big ways that I've used product intuition day to day. And then there's also a way that I think it applies and helps us in the future. So first way, it has very much helped me to move faster. And I think fundamentally product intuition can be a shortcut to decision making. So I kind of think about applying this in two ways. One, it helps in that planning interval prioritization. So for us, that's quarterly planning. But it also helps in the actual solution development, the day-to-day delivery. So within my space, and I'll get to this a little bit on a later slide, we often lack data or resources as we're going through that quarterly planning process. And I think product intuition can kind of step in there a little bit and compensate for some of that. So help to actually make those decisions that do genuinely need to be made. And then in the kind of day-to-day solution development, we have lots of clients, fairly specialized users, and sort of uniquely, our users, agents, are not actually the buyers. So we kind of care about our users, but that's not always what actually informs the buying decision. And so with small initiatives, small changes, fixes, that's where I think relying on product intuition, as opposed to necessarily like having to go through lots of sort of client reviews or things like that, has helped to speed the process along. So then I guess kind of the next big thing for me where product intuition comes into play is in managing cost. And I guess this is both at a PM level, but also at an organization level. So I think good product intuition in PMs can help make sure that we right size the investment for the nature of the product. So with this product that I work on, Agent Tool, as an example, it's not necessarily where Trainline wants to invest or put all of our resources. We'd rather spend our investment and our energy in building actual customer-facing features, but these are important capabilities for us to have in some fashion internally. And so we still need to move forward, but we kind of need to get to that place where we're building in a way where we're building sort of enough. And I think product intuition has kind of allowed me to do that. And I think it also reflects sort of the unique nature of development that you can get in some places. So sometimes things are a bit more cut and dry for us. Either we have a feature or a capability or we don't. And all we need to really focus on delivering is something that is good enough for our users. And so we wouldn't necessarily want to, or we might not be able to have the data resources or the UX resources that we would want to be able to solve that problem. So then, finally, I guess the sort of one other big thing for me is I think product intuition becomes more relevant in the age of AI. And I tend to think about this as I start to look at how I'm using sort of AI in my day-to-day. So when I can vibe code, 25 prototypes, figuring out the best way forward, I think relies on some level of that deep internalized knowledge and the empathy for the user to actually decide across all of those various ways of solving a problem, which one is the right one to pursue. And I think this might be especially the case with maybe more mature products or small solutions and fixes. I think AI has the ability to give us tons of information, but intuition is really what allows us to see the signals and kind of decide where to look across all of that information. And then I guess finally, for me, product intuition, I've said it on the slide as it's the edge, but it covers the things that AI can't necessarily do in some cases around taste or coherence across an overall product, or ethical judgment, or how we ensure that whatever we're delivering instills trust in users. So I guess to kind of wrap this up and final thoughts, I think product intuition is not really so it's not a mystical force. It's something that can be honed, and it's a skill set that can be developed. And when we do hone it, we can move faster by shortcutting decision making. We can reduce cost by making sure that we only need as many resources as the product sort of requires. And then we can also win with AI by being able to sort of cut through all of the noise and really find the true signals. So Thanks. Hope that was interesting.